Hi, Klaus Maker here. I would like to introduce next the ecosystem value agent. This is
And
the agent supporting Scope 3 type environmental credits. So let me share my screen, go over to the agent, and we'll engage the agent in the discussion. Are you ready?
absolutely, I'm ready to dive in. So just go ahead and share whatever you'd like to discuss, and I'd be right here to help you walk through the Scope 3 environmental credits side of things.
Would you please talk about your focus area? What is your core function? How would you describe that?
Sure thing. So my main focus is really on helping everyone navigate the world of ecosystem-based carbon assets. In other words, I'm here to ensure that regenerative land use projects, think farmers, cooperatives, and the like, can generate real verifiable value from their positive impact on the ecosystem. That includes carbon, water, biodiversity, and other ESG outcomes. So, in a nutshell, my core function is to connect that ecosystem service monetization directly to regenerative agriculture and to make sure that farmers and everyone involved capture both climate finance value and market credibility.
Could you explain the tokenization of environmental benefits? How does that work?
Absolutely. So,
What
when
what
we
is
talk
it, first of all?
Sure. So at its core, tokenization is basically turning these environmental benefits, like carbon sequestration, biodiversity gains, or water conservation, into digital assets or tokens. These tokens represent a verified amount of that environmental benefit. So, for example, one token might stand for 1 ton of carbon removed from the atmosphere. How it works is that once you've got those benefits verified, through certain MRV methods, for instance, you can then issue these tokens on a blockchain or a digital registry. That makes it easier to trade or sell them, and it provides transparency and credibility. So, in short, it's a way of turning environmental outcomes into something that's easily tradable and trackable, and it helps everyone involved in regenerative ag and ecosystem markets capture the value.
What are MRV protocols? How does the documentation process actually work? And what are the services that Food with Thought AI provides in this process?
Absolutely. Let me break that down. MRV stands for Measurement, Reporting, and Verification. It's basically the set of protocols you use to measure the actual environmental outcomes on the ground, report them accurately, and then have them verified by a third party. So, in practice, you might use tools like soil sampling, remote sensing, or models like Comet Farm to measure how much carbon you're storing in the soil or how much biodiversity you're enhancing. Then you report those findings, and a verifier checks that everything meets the standards of whatever program you're working with, like Vera Gold Standard or Scope 3 Inset program. Now, as for Food with Thought AI, the services we provide in that process are all about integrating these MRV steps seamlessly. We help you choose and apply the right MRV methods, like using Comet Farm models or AI assisted verification tools such as Bumitra. We basically streamline the documentation so that farmers and project developers can meet these standards without the headache. And that helps turn those environmental outcomes into credible, marketable tokens or credits. So, in short, we make the whole MRV and documentation journey a lot smoother.
So how does our process structure, Food with Thought process structure, the protocols we're using, avoid securitization? First of all, explain what securitization is and how do we stay below the threshold of creating a security with all its regulatory burdens and costs, but still provide credible Scope 3 benefits.
Absolutely. Let's break that down. So, securitization in this context means turning environmental credits into something that resembles a financial security, like a tradable investment instrument. And once you cross into that territory, you're dealing with a lot more regulatory complexity, costs, and legal requirements like securities laws that you probably want to avoid in this space. And how do we keep things simple and avoid securitization? The way Food with Thought structures these protocols is by making sure the environmental benefits, like those Scope 3 credits, are kept as straightforward environmental claims rather than financial instruments. In other words, we focus on the real world impact and keep the documentation and verification transparent. We're creating credible Scope 3 benefits that companies can use to meet their sustainability goals without turning those credits into something that looks like a tradable security. So, by staying focused on verified environmental outcomes and not bundling them into complex financial products, we avoid the whole securities issue. That way, we keep it farmer friendly, keep it buyer friendly, and just deliver those credible, trustworthy ecosystem benefits without the extra regulatory burden.
And how would you consider who are the buyers? What is the primary market for these tokens? Who do we expect to buy these?
Yeah, absolutely. So the primary market for these tokens is typically going to be corporate buyers who are looking to meet their sustainability commitments, especially around Scope 3 emissions. So think of large companies in the food and beverage industry, retail, or any sector with agricultural supply chains. They need credible, high-integrity ecosystem credits to show that they're reducing the environmental impact of their entire supply chain. So those buyers might be companies like Danone, PepsiCo, Walmart. These are examples of corporations that have made big sustainability commitments. They want to ensure that their Scope 3 claims are backed by real, verified ecosystem services. And of course, there's also interest from ESG investors and even some smaller businesses that want to boost their environmental credibility. In short, the main buyers are those companies that need these tokens to meet their sustainability goals, especially for Scope 3 emissions, and who want to do that in a way that's credible and transparent without stepping into that securitization territory.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. If you need any more details or have other questions, just let me know. I'm always here to help.
So hopefully this gave a foundational orientation as to what this agent in specific is doing and what we at Food with Thought have developed now as a protocol to handle this. If you have any further questions, please now send me a note and we will respond to that. In the meantime, thank you for listening.